What up guys, it is Justice here and welcome to a new video on this channel. This video is going to be around solo Durzag tanking. Now this has been quite a highly requested video over the past week or so, over the past couple of weeks actually. People have been wondering, how do I solo tank Durzag and how are other people doing it right now in the game? When do I need to use freedom? When do I need to use my defensive abilities? How do I walk Durzag? A lot of questions which are being asked on my live streams. Whilst I've been streaming Durzag, this was actually a kill from my stream when I was actually doing raids with viewers and subscribers over on my Twitch channel. And yeah, it was a lot of fun actually. This was a purely viewership made team. We managed to get the kill, although I did have to tank it for longer than usual due to obviously a lack of communication here and there. When you get different people together randomly in a team, it's always harder than doing it with, let's say, permanent players. But it was a lot of fun doing it. I really enjoy taking different viewers through raids, and I've had a lot of fun doing it now. Two minions there completely teleported to me ASAP, which can be pretty deadly when you're solo tanking Durzag. As you saw there, almost got KO'd there by multiple hits from the minions, so I'll go over that later on in the video. So this isn't the best tanking in the world, this kill specifically, but I've not had time to go and get the perfect kill for you. But pretty much every single thing which I'll go through in this video is pretty transferable across any kill that you do. So when Durzag spawns in the northern sector of this area, the first part of the Liberation of Mazcab raid, you want to lure Beastmaster Durzag to the southeastern corner, right to where I am now, essentially. In this southeastern corner, you can keep Durzag tied into this little corner here whilst walking it west to east continually. Now, if you walk it for too long, as you saw there, you get a continuous bleed effect upon you. That was a mechanic that was patched into this after the first week of release due to people continually walking Durzag and never having to stop walking it. Now you can't walk it continuously, you have to let it hit you once every time you reach the end of this little compartment here in the southeastern corner. As you see, when I walk it to the west now, I will let it hit me once, then I'll walk it back east, and it's just about following that rotation back and forth. Now, whilst you're walking it back and forth, east to west, west to east, when you let it hit you once, at that time you want to use a defensive ability. Now, it's completely dependent. You can get away with having a full yak of food and just using any type of defensive ability every time you let it hit you once, but preferably there are times where you want to use other defensive abilities over others. For example, when every so often Durzag will get extremely enraged. This happens a lot of the time when he spawns one of his minions, when he teleports one of his minions towards you. Durzag gets extremely enraged and starts doing like a flurry attack. Quite similar to grad or hard mode attack, where it's like a flurry attack and that can completely KO you. Now at that time, that would be a great time to use the devotion ability, because whilst he's doing all of that, he won't be able to attack you as long as you're praying melee. Either use the devotion ability or have barricade ready for that, and those two abilities are probably much needed for that case unless you can just eat through it. For example, this bit here. So I use barricade just to stop myself from getting attacked by that flurry attack. That's extremely important straight off. Now, a lot of people ask me, when do I use freedom? Well, you will notice throughout this clip at times when I get a message on the screen saying Beastmaster Durzag is more enraged upon you, that's when I use freedom. So don't just use freedom whenever it's off cooldown. You want to use freedom every time you get that message, and therefore resets that enrage backwards by 1, and therefore the hits will not be as high upon you. As you saw there, I've got the message using freedom, and therefore your defensive abilities won't go on cooldown either. So it does help you out a lot. Now, one of the defensive abilities which you should prioritize above all others is the immortality ability, and when you use this ability, don't aim to die with it. What a lot of people don't realize is that the immortality ability reduces the amount of damage you take by 25% for 30 seconds. That is a lot of damage reduction, so don't even aim to die with it. You don't need to. Just have it on there and keep walking it back into, let it hit you once, and that 25% damage reduction does help a lot. Again, using freedom once again when I get that message that Beastmaster Durzag is more enraged. Okay, so I'm going to add another couple of things which I feel like you really need to know. There will be a few things that I'll miss in this video as well. Feel free to add those in the comment section down below. So a couple of things: you can use dread nips, for example, on Durzag whilst you're walking it, so the team can use dread nips onto Durzag whilst the main tank is walking Durzag. That may stall a couple of his attacks, such as dynamites and stuff. And also, what you've got to consider is, whilst you are walking it back into, you are stalling Durzag's special attacks. Those are, for example, dynamite. Now, occasionally, of course, Durzag will release dynamite across to the team. those bombs you have to defuse as a team, otherwise you will get damaged by it. Now, occasionally you might not get a dynamite, you might not get a bomb. In this case here, I didn't get a bomb, which I needed to defuse personally. But as a tank, if you get a bomb and you don't defuse it, and let's say you've used barricade and you expect not to get damaged, that barricade will actually go off cooldown. You won't actually be able to use it, because when that bomb hits you, it puts all of your defensive abilities on cooldown. So that's one thing to note and be careful about when you are solo tanking Durzag. If you do get a bomb, defuse it, take that as a priority. Even if it means getting hit a couple of times by Durzag, eat through it. Now, another thing which is linked to that, eating through the damage. One of the best ways to eat through damage whilst you're tanking Durzag is by having a rocktail soup on your action bar. So if you put a rocktail soup on your action bar, and you can use X, for example, on my action bar to eat the rocktail soup, and then click on the brew, and that way you rocktail brew, it's called, where you'll heal up to 3,500 with rocktail soups within one game tick, which is fantastic. So you can keep eating through the hits if you need to do that. You probably won't be using loads and loads of food. You can do this effectively without using lots of food, but it does require your teammates to be voking those minions off you as soon as they get teleported. That's what's gonna basically kill the tank or not. If you need a good enough team to be voking those minions off you. Other than that, guys, that's pretty much how you solo tank Durzag. Again, gear and equipment, I've just used Port's armor, tier 85, tanking armor until I get my primeval gear, and then of course Merciless Kite shield personally over a spirit shield, because otherwise your prayer runs out way too quickly. Penancer is fantastic to use here. Oh yeah, and quickly, Durzag will occasionally aggro onto teammates whilst they're DPSing it, as you see here. All you need to do is just make sure you voke it back straight away. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So hopefully you guys found this useful. If you did, make sure to rate, comment, and subscribe to this video and to this channel. I'll see you in the next one. Take care and happy raiding.